This is our first look at Mordor. It stands in stark contrast to the plentiful rolling green hills of the Shire. Even from the few glances of the landscape that we are given, we see that Mordor is choked with chaos and covered in malice. Destructive red and sickly green lights accent the desolate black landscape where vile creatures roam freely. The construction of Barad-dûr is well underway. Nearly half complete is the imposing tower fortress where the dark monsters of the world are gathering in preparation for their march upon the world of men, elves, dwarves, and hobbits. Living under the shadow of Barad-dûr is the white city of Minas Tirith, an alabastrine shield, a vanguard that protects the rest of Middle-earth from the agents of Sauron, who live only to destroy the good peoples of the world. Gandalf descends into the White City to comb the libraries for answers to his questions about Frodo's ring. In finding the account of Isildur, he learns of a way to identify the One Ring. Though Minas Tirith, the City of Kings, has stood vigilant for millennia, no land is safe from the Dark Lord's influence anymore. Black Riders have even made their way into the Shire, the peaceful and remote home of the hobbits. The miniature of Barad-dûr for this shot is nearly 15 feet tall and in its finished state will reach nearly 9 meters. Despite its real-world massive height, the mini is in fact 166 scale. This means that the computer-generated orcs that are seen moving about the structure would only stand a few millimeters in height. One of the difficulties in working with such a small-scale mini is that the visual EFX director of photography, Alex Funke, had to get the camera within inches of the immaculate model to capture the sweeping shots with detail. This is another composite shot, where more than one shot is combined to create the final shot, which is a combination of the physical model of Barad-dûr and the computer-generated elements for the fires, lava, and orcs. The model for Minas Morgul was accented with a glowing green paint, which was later embellished digitally to give the building a sickly green glow. This is also a composite shot, combining the model of Minas Morgul, CGI elements for the interior of the fortress, and the Black Rider actors running through the door. Director Peter Jackson wanted the opening shot of Minas Tirith to resemble what a National Geographic shot of Constantinople at dawn would look like. Two miniatures were crafted for Minas Tirith, one at 72nd scale and another at 14th scale, which was used for wider shots. The 72nd scale model contained over 1,000 individually made buildings. The shot of Gandalf walking through the streets of Minas Tirith was filmed after actor Ian McKellen had been wearing his Gandalf the White costume for roughly 6 months. This is because the sets for Minas Tirith had not been built prior to the filming of Gandalf's fall from the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Every prop used in the films was handcrafted because the items that would exist in Middle-earth cannot be found in antique stores or standard prop departments. This includes the scrolls and books that are featured in the library. A New Zealand banker named Daniel Reeves was a hobbyist calligrapher and was brought on to scrawl the many papers seen throughout the film. During his time aiding the production, he had handwritten hundreds of pages for manuscripts and scrolls, many of which contained poetry from the books and appendices. After filming had wrapped up, he was hired by New Line Cinema to do the calligraphy for the promotional material. The actor who is playing the Hobbit that is confronted by the Black Rider, Cameron Rhodes, was also hired to voice act the animatic, which was created during pre-production to be used as a visual aid for the actors and filmmakers. The animatic was a full telling of the script's original draft that was a fully voiced combination of still images, basic CGI sequences, and rudimentary animation, and was the first thing shown to the actors when they arrived on set and began preparing for their roles. The Hobbit house is a reused facade that was created for the construction of Hobbiton. This scene was shot after primary filming had wrapped. It was added to increase tension and to show that the Black Riders had made it to the borders of the Shire. The Black Rider is voiced by Andy Serkis, who is better remembered in these films as the actor who not only voiced Gollum but also performed the creature's motion capture scenes. Even in the late 90s to early aughts, CGI was more commonly used to create settings as a cheaper and time-saving alternative to handcrafting miniatures. However, the filmmakers, particularly Peter Jackson, were rather fond of having a physical object to show on screen, because a computerized element can never have the presence of a real model, a sentiment that I share even to this day with the vast improvements in technology that have occurred over the following decades. Real models hold the charm of imperfection that a CGI object is unlikely to have. Nor does the person making the CGI element typically take the time and effort to add in small or minor details that will likely go unnoticed by the viewer. Despite the graphical jump that has been ray tracing technology, used to create realistic reflections and lighting, a computerized light source does not interact in the same way that real light bounces off or becomes absorbed by a physical object. Because of the filmmakers' desire to have as many physical models as possible, teams of people were set to task over a 2 to 3 year period to craft all of the miniatures that were used in the films. Additionally, because of the great size of the models, one of the crafters had dropped the term bigatures as opposed to miniatures, and the name stuck. Honestly, the moniker is accurate. For instance, there are 8 26-foot-tall trees that were crafted for Lothlorien alone. In later episodes, we will be getting a closer look at some of the other bigatures featured in the Fellowship of the Rings. In particular, the models for Rivendell, Lothlorien, the Tower of Orthanc and Isengard, the Argonath, and the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. What isn't mentioned in these films is that this scene encompasses a 17-year period. During this time, Gandalf and an off-screen Aragorn are scouring the lands far and wide for answers to the riddle of the ring. Though the exclusion of this information could have easily created a plot hole, I think that the writers did an excellent job of condensing the information to what was needed to move the plot forward while revealing the other mysteries later through dialogue. Additionally, we get the first hint of Gollum's involvement when we hear his muffled screams coming from the depths of Barad-dûr. What is truly important about this scene is that we are now venturing outside of the Shire. Though we only get a few quick glimpses of the larger world of Middle-earth, we are now beginning to see and understand that a great threat is growing in Mordor, and that many people across the land, not only the hobbits, will pay the ultimate price in Sauron's encroaching campaign of terror.